There is real information out there. If you read Counterpunch or you read Truth Out or Truth Dig, you will find out that there is a whole other story to every one of these stories, such as I just gave to you. And if we as a people come together, we can take back the institutions of our own society, and we can regain control of our own lives. And we can have peace. We can have peace in Western Africa. We can have peace in the Middle East. We can have peace in North Africa. We can have peace in East Africa. We can have peace in Central America. And we can have peace here in the United States of America, where there are mass murderers killing people with completely unregulated weapons on a regular basis. Join with us. Stand with us. If people do not come out publicly, if you just go on the internet and do stuff, guess what? They can ignore you. But when you come out, and you stand up, and you make a public presence, then you are pursuing the analog antidote to the digital days. We are living in a digital days, okay? And only the people coming together publicly and with their full voice can change the horror story, which is the current crisis of civilization. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, in our detention systems, the people who are now the leaders of ISIS were being imprisoned, they were being abused, and they were being tortured. And in our occupation, we disbanded one of the few functional institutions in that country, its military and its civil service. And so that young man who was born in the early 1970s, who lived through the 8-year war with Iran, who lived through the first Gulf War of H.W. Bush, who lived through the sanctions, then saw his country dismantled by our occupation, and its only functioning institutions completely dismantled. And if he was working in them, he was thrown out of his job and onto the street, and then he ended up in one of our detention centers where they all got together and formed what eventually became ISIS. A nonprofit. It did not have any procedures or training for people to deal with a public health crisis. They missed the initial diagnosis. Even though that man had told them that he had been to Liberia and they knew that he had a fever of 103, they sent him home to contaminate more stuff. They only let him back in when he was full of diarrhea and he was bleeding out his skin, okay? That's when they let him back in. And the reason that that's true in this country is because the only way you can get medical care when you don't have insurance is if you're an emergency case. So he had to be a true emergency before they would let him in. Okay? And then they did not have the proper protocols in place to deal with a patient like this man, and so 2 of the nurses got contaminated, and one of them was allowed to get onto a plane and fly, again, because people did not have proper protocols in place. We just don't have a public health system. We have a privatized monstrosity.
We're having a little 16th birthday party here. Approximately 16 years ago this October, this vigil, peace vigil started. 16 years of one of the longest existing anti-war vigils in this weekly vigils in this country. We started out in 1998 when Clinton was president, and Clinton was killing Iraqis through economic sanctions. Since the candles were light because of the wind, we symbolically blew out the candles of war, the fires of war. So
yeah.
Gather around, people. Gather around.
Everybody,
don't
blow them out.
Don't block the camera. Don't block the. Okay, ready? Everyone gather around.
All right.
One, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. No war. A war has ended. We blew out the candles of war.
Liberalism, we're pro-humanity. And so our leader, Michael, one of the original founders, recognized it was our 16th year out here, and that's why we have the cake. So if anyone wants some chocolate cake, help yourself. Maybe in another 4 years it'll be our 20th year out here. I certainly hope we can disband before then, because we will have ended the militarism, the imperialism, the racism that is this country. We will have ended the mass incarceration. We will have brought peace to the United States. It will be a place with peace where all people have the conditions that they need for security. Peace does not just mean the absence of war. It means when you have the conditions you need for your security, so you can live. That's what peace is. We hope we can have those conditions of peace and security.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for listening. We are the Committee for Peace and Human Rights, and this is our 15th birthday.
16th.
I'm sorry, this is our 16th birthday. We have been out here ever since we were protesting the sanctions on Iraq, before the first war in Iraq, the second war in Iraq, and we are still appalled at the treatment that our government gives to other countries, and actually to the people in this country as well. It's as if our government is an arm of the corporations. Whatever the corporations want is what our government is going to do. But now they see that it's not quite working. There's this new Islamic State, which, by the way, is mostly using weapons that they got from the United States, because the United States was giving weapons to people they didn't know very well in Syria, calling them moderate rebels. Or also the weapons were just taken when Iraqi soldiers abandoned their posts, reasonably enough. In any case, there's always a new threat. And now our government says, well, we can't let ISIS take over. We have to bomb. Our people won't let us put boots on the ground, so we'll just have to bomb from the air, see if that can help. Well, it's not helping. And I am sure that the Islamic State would not be there if we hadn't been doing the things we've been doing for the last decade or two. The kind of hate that inspires people to join a group like the Islamic State is just created by our government's policies.